Would you pay for a web browser? Honestly, this is a really tough ask because traditionally browsers have just been free. I'm sure there have been some like paid enterprise corporate nonsense out there, especially for like enterprise support plans and things like that. But the ones that have all of the market share, the ones that you actually use, your Chromiums, Firefox, everything based off of these that anyone actually cares about, all of this has basically just been free. And when it comes to the search engine space, it's kind of the same as well. The main ones, obviously your Googles, Bings, things like that, all free, but there has been some notable paid options. The one that people often point to is Kuggy. Then you have things like the premium version of Brave Search, which is kind of just here as a way to support Brave. It's not really something where you get like amazing new features. Yeah, you have like ad-free search, things like that, but for the most part, like people talk about Kuggy. So in the search engine space, there's certainly something there, even though most people don't pay. So maybe there is some room for a paid option. And I'm not entirely sure how it happened or why it happened, but a post from Brendan Eich, the CEO of Brave, just out of nowhere started getting attention because he talked about a paid version of Brave. This is from July 2025. I don't know if, like, there's like some Reddit posts about it, so I don't know if someone got recommended the post and then wanted to talk about it. I don't know. But people have been talking about it recently, so here we are. Coming soon, Brave Origin, where you pay modest monthly fee, pricing not final, discount for annual, to get Brave without sponsored images, rewards, VPN, wallet, Leo and toolbar, etc. No telemetry, just updates, versus 0-day security bugs. Just mentioning in case you would pay. And kind of expectedly so, as people on Reddit are not able to read. There was a lot of negative backlash about this. This is not the main version of Brave. This was never the main version of Brave. It explicitly says it's a different version of Brave, and he's talked about since then that things are not going to be removed from Brave, but again, people don't know how to read. You got lots of time to uninstall Brave, Brave is dead now, time to move on, how dare you do this, all this stuff, again, because people thought it was the main version of Brave, and it makes sense, in some sense, okay? Even if you did understand what was going on, a lot of people don't like the idea of sub fees, not because they won't pay them, because people are gonna pay them, but they won't be happy about it. People don't like dealing with more sub fees. It feels like everything has a sub, nothing you can just buy, everything you're renting, and it kinda sucks. Secondly, as I said earlier, a lot of people assume this was about the main version of Brave, not what it actually is, which is a separate version that you don't need to interact with. But it was probably for the best that people did get angry, for example, in threads like this one, in the Reddit thread I showed you before, because it's unclear exactly when it happened, but there were some important details changed. Now keep in mind, Brendan Eich posts like, how many posts do you have on this account? It's like almost 129,000. So he just says shit all the time. Not everything he says is guaranteed to happen. But somewhere along the line, details changed. Now, not a sub fee. And for some reason, now it's Reddit misinformation that it was a sub fee, even though you said it was a sub fee. Anyway, Brave Origin is one new optional separate build, stripped down, no telemetry rewards, wallet, VPN, AI, as I mentioned before, and 2, free on Linux, 1 time buy elsewhere. So not a sub fee, you pay for it, and you paid for it. Effectively, what is happening here is the main version of Brave remains entirely unchanged. You can do whatever you want with that, you can run it how you want it, you're all good. This Brave Origin version is a separate build that is basically a stripped down, debloated version of the browser. There are these debloaters that do exist, for example, this one right here, known as Slim Brave, and you can go and do stuff yourself as well if you want to do so, but the point here is to sort of offer a way to directly support the browser which doesn't involve just, selling your data. Now, for the sake of this discussion, put aside whether you like or dislike Brave. That is not relevant to what we are talking about today. Brave is just the example that has raised this as a point. Think about this in a more conceptual sense. Insert your favorite browser if that's what you need to do to be able to have a rational discussion about this. Would you actually pay for a web browser? And if that by itself isn't already too much, what would the browser require for you to actually pay for it? Would you be willing to pay a sub fee, or would you only pay a one-time purchase? What would the version need to offer for each of those different options? I would assume that if we're talking about a sub fee, it would need to be more than just a stripped down version, but if it's a one-time fee, would that be good enough for a stripped down version? What would you personally require to actually engage with something like this? Presumably, if you're paying a sub, you'd want it to be something that is actually a service that justifies the recurring fee, where there is a recurring cost that incurs that the fee is actually paying for, because otherwise, you're just kind of throwing money into the void for nothing. Again, you're renting it because that's the only option that exists, because that's how software is done nowadays. I can't speak for you, but for me personally, I look at it the same way that I look at a project donation. Has the project provided me enough value that I would be willing to go and support that project? There's a lot of projects that I run that are kind of treated like throwaway projects where I don't really think that much about it, and I could very easily replace it with another project where I don't really care about this work. Doesn't mean the work's bad and no one should support it, but for me, for the work that I want to support, it just doesn't provide enough value that I want to part with my money. But for something that I feel like I can't easily get rid of, that is a part of my workflow, that is core to what I do, something like that, I'm usually more than happy to go and support, or just something that I think is doing a good thing. And for me, I don't necessarily need a separate build to do so. I'm happy to just go and support the project as it is. But most projects don't get a lot of donations, and basically operating a donation model, if you ask people to donate, they usually will, but it's a much higher barrier than actually offering a product. And for that product, for a separate build, honestly, I don't know what I would even want from a browser besides, it not collecting and selling my data. As for additional functionality in a browser, I don't really find myself lacking anything. Yeah, there are some niceties that things like Zen, for example, might have, but those are very particular to the Zen kind of model of handling a browser. I don't personally care for things like syncing my browser between devices, which usually is a thing offered for free anyway, but if it's not, I kind of want my devices to be separate. If I want things to be shared, I will explicitly go and share it. I don't want everything I do on my phone to be on my computer. But maybe I'm the weird one, in which case, let me know. And let me know, if you were to pay for a web browser, whether it be Chromium or Firefox or Brave or pick a browser, what would the browser need to offer you to actually pay for it? Are you the kind of person that just donates to a browser project, or would you want there to be something where it's actually a value add? I'd love to know. So if you like the video, go like the video. Go subscribe as well. And if you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon subscribe Stally Bearer pay linked in the description down below. That's gonna be it for me, and honestly, I don't know, right? It's a browser normally free, and yeah, it's a tough one.